Good evening and welcome to another edition of Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Serene Insurance, the Goyle Company Limited. It's also brought to you in association with the Ghana Revenue Authority and indeed the Integrated Customs Management Systems, ICUMS. Now, this program is also streamed live on our social media handles at Iron Port Ghana on Facebook and YouTube. Our media partner is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. If you want to know all that transpired on this show, make a date and grab a copy of the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to know all that happened right here on the show. Let me remind you that along the line, we're going to activate our phone lines. You would call in and ask my guest questions. You can also get interactive with us via our WhatsApp line, and the line to call is 0559 019 177. 0559 019 177, and we'll be glad to read your messages to the rest of the world. My name is Kennedy Mona. We'll be back after this short break.
Every now and again, Goyle makes good things happen. This time, Goyle has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goyle has that sorted. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
You're welcome back. Now we're going to take some stories from the local industry, that's the maritime and port industry. Some activities happened in the course of the week, and one that took place was the visit of the Railways Minister to the Otumfuo ASANTEHENE, Osei-Tutu II, at the Manshia Palace, and some issues came up. The king did not understand why people keep encroaching on railway lines and making it difficult for government to expand or develop these lines. And he was explicit when he stated that the minister should ensure that all these encroachers are taken off the encroached lands and that no compensation should be paid to any of the encroachers. Let's take a look at that story.
The ASANTEHENE Otumfuo Osei Tutu II has charged the mayor of Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to go ahead with its intended demolition exercise of all structures on the right-of-way for the construction of the 6-kilometer Kumasi-Edum to Kasi section of the Western Railway line. Otumfuo Osei Tutu II cautioned that no compensation will be paid to anyone whose property would be affected by the demolition exercise.
Only a title to the land again.
Zone.
When we are Katasuma, so I want to be
Zone.
Otumfuo Osei Tutu II made these comments when the Minister of Railway Development, John Peter Amewu, paid a courtesy call on him at the Minsha Palace in Kumasi on Wednesday, May 5, 2021, to inform him of the intended demolition exercise to be carried out to enable the contractor, Messrs. David Water, who has already mobilized on site to commence the construction works. His Royal Majesty lamented the several years of neglect of the road transport system in Ghana and expressed hope that government's commitment to revamp the rail sector will ease the pressure on the roads as well as change the economic fortunes of the country. On his part, the railway minister reiterated that President Akufo-Addo is committed to building a modern railway network, but expressed concern over the numerous encroachments on the right-of-way.
As you are aware, on assumption of office by His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, one of his main agenda was to see how we can revamp the railway industry. The railway industry, I think, as you are all aware, has been left in a state of dilapidations for several years. This was a sector that was very vibrant in this economy. His Excellency took it upon himself to revitalize the railway industry.
The minister was accompanied by the chief director of the ministry, the acting CEO of the Ghana Railway Development Company, and some officials of the ministry, the contractor Messrs. David Water, as well as the project engineers, Team Engineering. The railway minister and his team, together with officials of the KMA, later visited Edum to Kasi section to ascertain the level of encroachment.
All right, so that was one activity that took place. There's a second activity that took place, and that has to do with the fact that the management of Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has taken delivery of the Paga Truck Park. This is a big facility that has been constructed by Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. So we'll be bringing you details of that particular story in the course of the show. We'll now go for the Goil TV market, and this week's edition of the Goil TV market features the Afienya service station. Remember, the Goil TV market is a program that has been designed to showcase the services and products of one of our lead sponsors, that's Goil Company Limited. Let's take a look at this week's edition.
Goil, Goil, in the service of the nation. North, south, east and west.
We are at Afienya Goil Service Station, Tobut, as I said, and we have stations running from motorway roundabouts straight down to Atimpoku. We offer excellent services in Tema here. So we welcome you all to come and experience the Goily services we offer to you.
Petrol no yede numbers ene gina ho ede ma na ho odin. Numbers no Ghana ha no ye start free 91. Uba 1 year na ho odin ne uba wanya 3 years no. Ebe pa na. 1 year ni ni. Ana de wanya 5 years ni ni. Pana na ho odin wo so. It is also petrol no ho odin no eye 95 wa. Ye so hwe ni ade atum se ampa eye 95. Nti ya so hwe ene ade atum se eye ampa 95. E ba so ayen so say dem bi ka kan ye running so ye de ehwe ta ampa 95 ene ye de ebrem. Eti we na ho odin wo fom. We na ho odin wo soro. Ne kala no esan se na ho odin wo soro nti no. Ukọ ba bia 95 no. Eye se ya na tie. We so eye diesel fa cho ye hu.
Around 95, it reduces fuel consumption by 4%, among several other benefits. Now, say around 95, we are not seeing XP3 fuel additives now. BD Group supply my God on the count. What is our phone go? car ma, a reducing carbon emissions, a cleaning with injectors, a dispersing issue a free fueling, and then the most important thing, no, aside 4% in it, XP3 SML, an extra percentage in fuel consumption. So we use it.
God, I say, over super SP, extra power times 3. Now a run, see a run 95. Never be a sa of what you want with a carbon down open there.
Now, your lubricants, so I dare back where who say a authentic lubricant. Number 1, lubricants be a baby. Get the batch number at her. Now, batch number, no, the date of manufacturing. Also, lubricants need their own time expiry date. The only one out there who expiry date here greases and then some special oil. What shall happen now? Say when we see on, what shall I say? See on a break here. Not I say, a beer will be try say, will be oil. It's a walk on for say, and so we shall happen here. Say happen in break here. What signs to be a cap now? We over. Yes, see on the signs of the Goil logo no after.
And across the nation, every gas station now, there's a POS machine that allows you to buy fuel using our card. So this is how the cars look like. In fact, but how do I get a card? Most of the stations they have forms to fill in. OG form now fill it. Now the supervisor now or no follow up amount. No my card, no they are broke.
Although we were buying from Goy, but today we learned a lot. There are so many things we didn't know that we thought we knew.
What product is the best? XP3 or can one say, the base and comfort be over the card. With the XP3 the big boom. You can almost say, how do you know? I'm saying, if you want a tomb, and that's our problem with you. Which means that I woman and your papa, the papa never boom no. Correct. The measure be and say, God dear, idea.
Well, I'm product here. I'm use track ni women as Omunia Manina boy. Baby, I'm a Kobe, I'm a tall girl. Who the goof where Motomus our car, who say, Fuena, normally my car is full electronics. So I didn't buy any fuel for anywhere. Only go I use always. Their service too is good. The workers also are kind to us. So buy from Goil because they are the best.
With the Goil, it doesn't cost much. Stabilize the system of the car and also save them right in terms of economic system.
Be it fuels, be it lubricants, they should buy from Goil because there they get their money's worth. They are sure that their cars will run for a long time. They will enjoy the services when they come to Goil stations.
So friendly to the nation. North, south, east and west, we always stand for the best. Goil, Goil, Goil is good energy.
So we welcome back, and that was the Goil TV Market. Remember I said this week's edition featured the Afenya service station. Now tonight, our discussion is in 2 parts. One, we would have some 15 minutes with the general manager in charge of medical services or health services at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, because during the course of the week there was a publication that came out and sought to suggest that the Port Authority was doing nothing in terms of checking crew members who arrive in the country aboard vessels with regards to PCR testing for COVID-19. And the Port Authority issued a statement debunking these assertions. Now, this particular publication was, attributed to a member of Parliament. And so we have the general manager to respond to this particular issue. And then the second part, we will be talking e-tracking system, we'll be talking transit trade, we'll be talking effective, that's transit trade, because a good governance or security governance initiative, which is a collaboration between the government of Ghana and the United States of America, is working at rolling out a new e-tracking system. We'll delve into the details in the course of the show. So these are the 2 topics we are discussing tonight, and my guests are already in the studio. In fact, Dr. Anabisi is here. But let's go to PAGA, because in the course of the week, management, like I said, of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority took delivery of the truck park in PAGA. Now, this is a truck park that can accommodate 200 trucks at a go. Now it sits on a 30,165 square meter land at the Paga border. And so GPHA took delivery of it from the contractor, and pretty shortly, I'm sure it's going to start effective operations. In fact, when we were there, we saw some of the trucks already parked in the yard, and you can see the pictures running over there. The DCE for Kasina Nankana, who has oversight for that area, made some pronouncements that I think that is worth sharing with you. What he said was that the truck park would serve three purposes. One, he says, open defecation in the area would be a thing of the past, because when the drivers got to that particular border, they parked by the wayside and they turn left, they turn right, they don't see anybody, they decide to do their own thing in the open space. And so this particular truck park will solve that place because it has facilities such as washrooms, bathrooms, and has a place for the drivers to park. And perhaps if they want to pray, if you're Muslim, you want to pray, you can pray. It has a waiting area where, whilst customs are working on your documents, you can sit and rest. And then, when you are done, you go and pick your documents, and then you are out of the place. And so that is the truck park. Now, the DC also mentioned that the truck park will also solve the issue of armed robbery. Because when the drivers get to the border and they park by the streets, they sleep. And you know how fatigued they are. The men of the night take advantage of that and then decide to, rob them. They understand the robbery incidents there was very, very rampant. Now, this facility will also help curb that. The third one, he said, is accidents. And accidents will be brought to the lowest minimum because what it is that when the trucks park by the roadside, that's when the accidents occur. And so now that they have a designated place where they can park, I think that the roads will be free and then these things will not be happening. And so that's it. Pretty shortly, at the appointed time, the official commissioning will take place and they will bring you more details on the Paga truck park. So that's by way of information. The management staff of GPHA was led by Mr. Benjamin James Gazy, who is the general manager in charge of environment and estates. And indeed, we also had Mr. Serpina, who is the general manager in charge of engineering. We had Madam Philippa Amanda, who is in charge of procurement. We also have Madam Christine Anderson and Mr. Zuma Tebon, who is also in charge of finance. And so that is by way of information. Let's also remember that today is Mother's Day, and so we want to take the opportunity to wish all our mothers at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority a very happy Mother's Day to you all. You are wonderful, you are awesome. We learn at your feet every day, and we are grateful that you are celebrating this day today. The world over, you are being remembered, and we cannot be left out. And so we say a very happy Mother's Day to all of you. So let me come straight to the studios and introduce Dr. Vitus Victor Anabisi, General Manager, Health Services, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Good evening, sir. I am aware you saw the publication attributed to the Member of Parliament who seemed to suggest that the Port Authority was doing absolutely nothing in terms of checking crew members for COVID when they arrive in the ports. Do you test crew members who arrive in the ports?
Thank you very much. If you give me the opportunity, let me wish all my nurses out there at our Health Services Department in Tema a happy Mother's Day.
Right.
The majority of staff in our department are ladies, so I think it's only proper that I wish them a happy Mother's Day.
Right.
Coming back to your question, it's unfortunate. When I was, my attention was drawn to that publication, I thought it was a bit unfortunate because that is not a fact. It's not factual. The statement that was attributed to the Member of Parliament is not factual.
Right.
We in the Ports and Harbours Authority, way before even the first case of COVID-19 was discovered or diagnosed in Ghana here, in March 2020, we had put a lot of measures in place. Sensitization on COVID-19 started way back before the first case was detected in Ghana.
Right.
And a lot of our a lot of the things we did actually were taken up at the national level, and they went ahead and used even our brochures as way of educating people around the country.
Right.
These brochures were produced by our own printing press. Singapore, we have a printing press, so they produced that, and we use it as flyers, and it went a very long way to give a lot of information to the general public. Yes, we started all this sensitization, and you remember at that time there was a lockdown, 2020, sometime in March. the whole country, or maybe Kumasi, Accra, the major cities were on lockdown. The airport, Kotoka International Airport, was locked down. But I must add that Ghana, our ports, 2 ports, which are major ports of Tema and Takoradi, were never locked down for very good reasons. Yeah. We cannot lock down the ports and expect the economy to move. Yeah. We all agree that 85% of economic activities, trade, international trade, come through the ports. Right. And Tema is the number 1 port in the country, the largest port in the country. And so the port was not locked down. Yeah. So throughout the entire period of the lockdown, we were operating at full capacity. Yeah. So we quickly had to put measures in place to make sure that we don't have the unfortunate incident of people sneaking through or coming through our port with COVID. And so from day 1, we changed our operational methods, and we said that, look, we formed a committee in the first place. There was a committee formed at the highest level. It is an interagency or multi-sectoral committee at our headquarters level. We had GPHA as a member. We had a Ghana Immigration as a member. Yeah. We had Ghana Navy as a member. Ghana Revenue Authority, Veterinary Services, the Meridian Ports Authority,
Meridian Port Services.
Meridian Port Services, sorry. Yeah, there's MPS. Yes. And then Port Health, who's an agency of Ghana Health Service. So we all came together and formed an interagency committee that spelled out all the protocols that we had to go by to run the port. Yes. And so all shipping lines, and for that matter, shipping agents, were informed about all these new protocols that were put in place. Yeah. So immediately, what did we do? We stopped all crew members from disembarking anytime they came to the port. They had to remain on the vessels until every operation was done, and then they go back to wherever they were coming from. Yeah. That was not enough. The next thing we did was that a similar protocol document like the health declaration form, which is the HDF, which they use at the Kotoka International Airport, we did it. We also modified it to suit the port operation. So we modified that form, and we actually had an electronic version of it. Yes. And so we gave this information to all the shipping lines, and they were instructed and directed that 1 week, that is 7 clear days before your ETA means expected time of arrival, before you get into our port or even into our waters, 7 days clear, you must report and fill that form and send to us by electronic means. And so there were a number of people who were in copy of this email, and that is how it has been from day 1. Yeah. And thereafter, every single day, you have to report about the health status of all the crew members on the vessel. Once you are Ghana bound, you are compelled to do that. Yeah. So we're getting daily update on the health conditions of all the crew members until the final day you arrive in our port, and then you do the final declaration, which is the health declaration form again. Yeah. It's not only for COVID, but most of the questions were about COVID, but there were allowances for other diseases for you to declare. Right. Now, if for one reason or the other you declare that somebody was sick on the vessel, and you answer the questions appropriately, we'll review that form, and based on the symptoms and signs that the person was exhibiting, then we'll go ahead and declare, okay, is this a suspected case or not? So suspected case of COVID or not? Yeah. Or is it a probable case? So we'll review that. And if we had reason to believe that, no, this case is a suspected case of COVID, what did we do? We'll make sure that the vessel does not come into port. It has to go to what we call quarantine anchorage, which is miles into the sea. Yeah. And this is a special place.
3 nautical miles.
Exactly. Yes. So vessels are quarantined out there. Once you have a suspected case of infection or infectious disease, you have to be there. And then we'll send off our lab scientists who will go with the boat. They go right to the vessel there. He climbs on board, takes samples, but of course they will all dress appropriately. All our crew members on the tugboats, which will send the lab scientists, they will all have to don fully. Yeah. Once they don fully, they take the lab scientist there, he climbs on top, and then he takes sample of this suspected case for COVID testing. In the interim, once it's declared that the person has some signs of COVID-19, the captain is instructed directly to isolate, or let me say, to quarantine that patient or that suspected case in the cabin on board the vessel before even the lab people come to take the samples. Yeah. And that's how we have to manage it. Once your samples are taken by our lab scientists, we send them straight to Noguchi And we all know that Noguchi is our reference point, and they are the national laboratory which is in charge of this. So we send this, and initially we were having challenges because of the pressure on Noguchi.
Yes.
It would take us 3, 4, 5 days, but after some time, when Noguchi saw that, yes, we were doing national duty, they really gave us very, very quick response, and we're getting our results in 48 to 72 hours.
Yeah.
So based on the results of the lab test, if you are negative, then the vessel is cleared by port health, then the vessel is brought into port, and then we take off the patient to a designated health facility, and then the person will take care. But if it is positive, if it tested positive, then we will activate our protocols. And these protocols stipulate that once there is a positive case on board the vessel, that person is now isolated fully in the cabin. Then there are two chances. Either we'll send a vessel out there, a boat to go and bundle the patient, bring the patient down, and bring the person to the quay, and an ambulance will be waiting, appropriate ambulance, send the person to a designated isolation center or treatment center, depending upon the clinical condition of the patient. But we don't do this alone. We do it in collaboration with the Municipal Health Directorate. That's the Tema West Municipal Health Directorate or the Tema Metro Health Directorate. We work hand in hand. We can't do this alone. So once we get that information, in fact, we'll put through calls and even emails to the directors of these health directorates, and then they help us, and they will identify where we should be taking the patient. There were instances where we had to take patients, confirmed cases, to UGMC, that's the Universal Ghana Medical Center, also to Ghana East. All these are places we've used before. So that is the protocol, that nobody will come into our country, and from day one, nobody came into our country without being screened. They were all screened. So I thought that statement was not factual, and it was unfortunate.
Right. So we have procedures for embarkation and disembarkation. Can you walk us through what these processes are?
Thank you very much, Ken. Yes, we have. Embarkation means crew members who are joining the crew. Another word is, on-signers.
Yes.
And then those who disembark are those who are getting off the vessel, and they are the off-signers. Either they are Ghanaians and they remain in Ghana, or if they are foreigners, they go through Kotoka and then they go to their various countries. So before anybody embarks, that's on-signers, those coming into our country, foreigners, to join the vessel, or even Ghanaians, by the national protocol, you are supposed to undergo a COVID test. The minimum, I think maximum of 72 hours prior to your embarkation or to you joining the vessel. So if you're a Ghanaian, you go to any of the recognized and accredited health facilities in Ghana here, Noguchi and other places, and take your test. And what comes next? You have to report this test result, the agents of the ship. So we have the ship agents that we deal with who communicate with us on a daily basis. And so they will now report the PCR test results to us. And I will review the results. If they are all negative, you are cleared as a Ghanaian. If you are starting from Ghana here, then you are given the clearance to board. Ghana Maritime Authority also do their own clearance. They also are involved in this crew change, and they have what they're looking for, and so they also do their part. But the final decision and authorization is given by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Now, if you're a foreigner and you are coming to join the vessel in Ghana, you fly into Ghana. In fact, during the COVID-19 lockdown period, there were special flights which were coming in, but they were very limited. They had to seek clearance from the national security and from government to be able to bring the crew members for them to come and join the vessel in Ghana, because there was no way we could stop trade, stop ships from moving. So if you are coming from abroad, you are expected by our protocol to give 48 to 72 hours notice of this PCR test, again by email. Okay, so you send those, we vet the results, and if it's negative, when you fly into Ghana, the day you arrive at Kotka, we are all aware that you go through a COVID test at the airport. So when we see your PCR result, which you have sent from your country of residence, we wait for the day you arrive, and you take that test again, which we know is an antigen test at the airport. Then we'll also look at that. So it is the two tests we will review. And based on that, if they are both negative, then we'll allow you to board the vessel. That is for embarkation.
Disembarkation?
Disembarkation, meaning people who have come from the vessel and they are going to get off Ghana, either they are Ghanaians or they are going out. Before you disembark from any vessel, what do? We'll send off our lab scientists. You would have given us information anyway. Yes, sorry, I didn't say that part. Information is sent by the ship agent requesting that they want to do crew change.
Right.
Crew change is this embarkation and disembarkation. Yes. So if you come and you send a mail, you request that, you give us the list of and names of all the on-signers or those who are going on board, and then list and names of all the off-signers. With their passport details, with all other documents you attach, in addition to the COVID results. But for those who are going to disembark, once you give us their names, the numbers of people who are going to disembark and their names, then before you arrive, we would have approved for our lab scientists to board the vessel once you come to berth. Once you are cleared by port health and you come into berth, then our lab scientists will board the vessel, take samples of all those disembarking or who are going to disembark. They remain on the vessel. He brings the samples. We take them to Noguchi, and they are tested. If they are all given clear in terms of negative results for PCR, then, and it's only then, that they can disembark.
Okay.
If for some reason, if there's an emergency and the ship or the vessel has to move before the results come, what we'll do is that once we've taken your samples, they go into quarantine in a designated facility, mostly some hotels who take them in, and they go all according to COVID protocols, fully. They will have to wait there until the lab results are ready from Noguchi. And when they are negative, then we'll clear them, and then they can travel out to their various countries. Without a negative test, there's no way you can enter our country, or there's no way you can travel out of the country from the port.
Yes. So quickly, we have barely 3 minutes to wrap up with you. Tell us, do we have any statistics since the inception of COVID? You have been doing some of these tests, like you rightly alluded to. And so give us the figures. How many have you tested? How many were positive? How many were negative?
Thank you very much. Yes, we do. We do all this with statistics, and we are backed by evidence and all that. And so I'll just go straight to what we did, GPH clinic in Tema. We tested so far, we took samples of 5,758
crew members.
Samples. Oh, no, I'll come to the crew member. This is generally, because you know our clinic is open to the public. There are patients who come in suspected cases at the clinical level. We test them as well. We do contact tracing, and then also do the general public walk-ins. But so this figure I'm giving you, 5,758, is for the general public plus GAPOA staff, dependents, and other people. I emphasize, it's not just GAPOA staff. Everybody. It's the 5,758 samples were taken. Total tested is 5,753. That is as of 10 a.m. today. Today is the 9th of May, 2021. As of 10 o'clock, this is the figures we had. So these are current statistics. So the total confirmed positive cases out of this 5,758, we have 857. 857.
Positive.
Positive, yes. Okay. And so looking at it, the percentage positive is 14.7. All right. Now, narrowing down to the crew, as you asked, those who disembark so far, we've tested, like I said, we take samples of those who are disembarking. As for those embarking, the test is done wherever they're coming from and also at Kotoka. But from those who are disembarking, we do the testing. And that is what is critical. I think that's what featured in the article.
Absolutely. Yes.
So we do not allow anybody to enter this country. We tighten our borders at the port, so we don't allow anything to happen. So we tested so far 799 crew, those disembarking, 799 samples were taken, and 796 have been tested so far. That means we are just waiting for 3 more, isn't it?
Sure.
And out of this 799, we have 14 testing positive. And those who tested positive, let me just add that when you test positive, you are not allowed to go away with the vessel. You are disembarked in accordance with our protocols. And the Municipal Health Directorate, the Tema Metro Health Directorate, they are all involved. And they give, if you are clinically well, you are not sick, we'll send you to an isolation center. If you are sick, clinical, and you need attention, sometimes ICU will disembark you and send you to an appropriate treatment center. And that's what we've been doing.
All right. So we'll say a very big thank you to you, Doc, for the clarification. Dr. Vitus Victor Anabisi is the General Manager in charge of health services at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, bringing us up to speed with, issues as far as COVID-19 testing of crew members is concerned, and he has debunked it. Like I said, the Port Authority issued a statement saying that publication wasn't right, it was factually inaccurate, and that GPHA from the onset have been doing a lot to stem the tide or the spread of the virus. And we'd like to say thank you to you, Doc. And I'm sure, as and when we need you, we always knock on your doors. And we are glad that you always oblige us. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you, Ken. If I just add is that nobody has died in our port because of COVID.
Right.
And nobody has come through our port without being checked for COVID.
Absolutely.
That is on record.
Yeah.
And we should know that we have a national duty to play here, a national role to play, and the port is a big entry point, and we all know that. And so even vaccination we have done. We have championed it, we have done vaccination and all that for all our frontliners and all that. So indeed, we must all work together.
Absolutely.
So next time, if there's the need to get information about whatever happens in the port, I think that the right thing should be done so that we can give them the right information. Thank you very much. Let us keep Ghana safe and make sure that our country moves forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. And so we'll be back after this break.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water, or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
You're welcome back, and this is the second part of the program. Remember, this is Iron Port, and you can get interactive with us via WhatsApp platform. Send us a message on 0559019177. 0559019177. We'll be glad to share it with the rest of the world. And like I said, the Security Governance Initiative program is a collaboration between the government of Ghana and the United States of America. and they are working assiduously to roll out a new e-tracking system. And this is supposed to benefit the transit trackers who ply our landlocked neighboring countries, as in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Now, one man that is playing a very key role in all of this is the Deputy Commissioner in charge of ethics and good governance at the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, in the person of Mr. Seydou Idrisu Idissa. He's joined me in the studios, and we're going to dilate on this particular issue. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, too, for inviting us.
Please bring us up to speed with what this whole new initiative is about, the new e-tracking system, because I am aware that the Port Authority or stakeholders within the port community had this e-tracking system. I mean, tell us what this new one is about.
Yeah, e-tracking system started in Ghana way back in 2006, when we introduced the electronic tracking of vessels moving on transit and under the other suspend regimes. Hitherto, we're doing manual. We used to give and make an officer to escort every vehicle that was moving.
Yeah.
And e-tracking came as a relief because it took, care of some of the challenges that we had with the manual.
Yeah.
And since then, we have been doing that. But having operated it for about 14 or 15 years now, there have been new challenges that are coming up with the tracking system. And like we said, the Security Governance Initiative is a collaboration between the government of Ghana and that of the United States of America. And it started way back in 2015. In actual fact, it started rolling out in 2016.
Right.
And it is in 3 categories. That is maritime, border security, and then cyber.
Okay.
So the Border Security Committee, is made up of all stakeholders, all the government security agencies at the borders and all other stakeholders.
Yeah.
So the committee visited a number of ports and exit stations to find out some of the security challenges. And one of the prominent ones was the challenges facing the transit
trade,
trade.
The trucks,
Yeah, and the trucks in particular. And we noted all this down, and we are trying to come out with solutions to aid what is already in existence. And that is why we decided, in actual fact, let me add that after visiting the stations,
yes,
we also paid. The Security Governance Initiative is not only Ghana, which is having that collaboration with the United States. We have 5 other African countries doing that.
Okay.
And they started way before Ghana.
Right.
So when we started,
do you have off the top of your head these other countries?
It includes Kenya, Niger, Tunisia, Nigeria, and those are, yes.
Right. Okay.
And Kenya, for instance, started long before because the agreements were initiated in 2013, but Ghana got seriously involved in 2016.
Right.
So because of that, we also visited some ports and exit stations in Kenya to see how they have because they have similar challenges that we have.
Absolutely.
And then we saw what the efforts they have made, and that was what prompted us to try to look for another tracking system. Because they have a tracking system that is, they also have the other tracking system that we have, but they have one which is purely controlled by the Kenyan Revenue Authority, the customs, everything.
Okay.
And it is very efficient.
Okay.
So we contacted our partners, the Americans, and they agreed to let us study ours, because you can, no matter what, when you go to see another thing and you want to implement it in your country, you must look at your peculiar. They may be similar, but there will be peculiar challenges that you. So they commissioned a team. Which came, and also a technical team, which visited the ports and all the stations and the transit routes and identified, what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that is what we are working on now.
Okay. So tell us, what's the status of this particular project? Like you rightly said, it started in 2006, yes? And that's the old system, and you are trying to introduce this new system.
Yeah.
Give us the dynamics. What's the difference?
No, we are not trying to, we are not stopping the aim is not to stop the existing systems.
Okay.
What happens is that when we establish this one, it will have modern facilities that will provide real-time monitoring of cargo.
Modern features, okay.
Modern features.
Yes.
Our intention is that any goods that has very high revenue and security implications, we will, use this system in addition to whatever is there to assist in making sure that we facilitate the movement of the goods from the port of entry to the point of exit. And we are also even looking, beyond that.
Yes.
Maybe we'll have to cooperate, we'll cooperate with our neighboring countries.
Yes.
So that it can even make it possible to monitor it up to the place of destination. Because what we saw in Kenya, they do the same thing.
Okay.
Somebody will move with transit goods from the port of Mombasa, and it will be monitored to, up to, let's say, in Rwanda or Uganda or any place.
Yes.
All the the parties are working together.
Yes.
So we are envisaging that. Currently, we are looking at Ghana, but we have in mind that in future we can expand it to meet the demands of our neighboring countries.
Yes. All right. So I know you are trying to review the operations, and that's why you came up with the concept of operations.
Yes.
Walk us through that.
Yes. The concept of operations was, actually reviewing the challenges that we are confronted with currently.
Okay.
Because if you want to address those, if you want to introduce one, we shouldn't introduce one which will have the same, challenges.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the team came and then, did a thorough work on it.
Yes.
And then they brought it to the committee. The committee is made up, all these things working under the national security. So all the stakeholders met, and then they briefed us on their findings. And they also told us what the solution they have to that, to the challenges that they've identified.
Yeah.
Now, that is the phase one. We were to look at it, and if we are satisfied, then we'll move to the phase two, where they will now come out with a prototype, of what they are going to do, and maybe demonstrate it to us.
Right.
That will be at a phase 2 level, and if we are satisfied with it, we then go into the actual pitches and deployment.
Right.
So the kind of, or the concept of operations, identify the distance, and we'll look at the other elements inside, whether it is viable, whether it will solve our problems, what will be the cost. All those things will come later when they bring the prototype.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned that they bring their findings. They brought their findings because they went on the field and then examined what the situation was on the ground and all that. So what were some of the key findings they discovered?
Well, some of the key findings they found was that our current system, because of certain challenges, is not able to monitor all the cargo 24/7. And because of that, sometimes the monitoring system, in fact, they were mentioning something which was very embarrassing because I knew about it.
Right.
It happened some few weeks ago, where a vehicle was seen. The monitoring system saw it around Abosokai. They went there, they couldn't find it. They called the agents who were, the agent who was responsible for it, and he said, "Oh, the vehicle is on its way to Paga." But they can't see in the system.
Yes.
It is because of one of the challenges we are talking of.
So that means that there are issues in terms of accuracy.
Yes, accuracy of the
location,
the monitoring. There are also issues of, when they get there, sometimes, the current system we're supposed to have, when the goods leave Tema port, for instance,
yes,
they are supposed to be enrouted.
Yes.
Sometimes breakdown in connectivity prevents the enroutment. And sometimes the vehicle can reach Paga, and they can't close it in the system because it has not. They were supposed to be enrouted by officers in Tema.
Yes.
And when it gets to the intervening stations at Kumasi and Tamale, Sablugu, they are supposed to make entries that it has passed there.
Yes.
Before the Paga people can close it. Those things are. So sometimes they have to do it manual, and this manual give room for diversions and other things.
Yes.
And those are the security and revenue challenges that they noted.
Yes.
But one other thing that they noted, which we have always mentioned and which is not addressed, is a policy issue. In the World Customs Organization have always recommended that goods moving on transit, or what we call the suspend regime, even going to warehouses, where duties have not been paid, or where there are still things to be done security-wise, they must be in containerized cargo trucks.
Right.
But in this our part of the world, we haven't implemented it. So most often you see it in open trucks.
Yes.
We put tarpaulins on it.
Yes.
Sometimes they even load over the height, and then when they go to sometimes because it's open truck, they can even leave the port and load more.
Yes.
And when they get to the way bridges, sometimes they offload some to make sure they comply with the rules.
Yeah.
All this is done at the blind side of the monitors.
Yeah.
And it is simply because we are using open trucks to do that. If we are to, it's a policy issue.
Yeah.
And we are, bringing it to the notice of the authorities that there is a need.
We need to move to container.
To move to containerize this thing. We know maybe there will be some cargo, some few cargo which may not be able, for instance, iron coils and other things may not, but that will be very limited.
Absolutely.
This thing. And if we are able to do that, then the container has an entry and exit point, which we can use the devices to engage.
Right.
And any attempt to open it, it will
break the seal.
To break the seal.
Yeah.
If we are using the modern one that we are talking of, it will give alarms.
Alarms, yeah.
And then, and there will be what we call rapid response teams that can move there and get the situation under control.
Okay. So how have we been able to resolve this issue of the inability of officers in Kumasi and Tamale to enter, to make entries, to indicate or to reflect in Tema that the trucks have indeed, passed? What's the challenge? Have they deployed or given them, gadgets to be able to do that? Because I am sure this is done electronically.
Yes.
What is the challenge?
The challenge is actually what you have mentioned. It is the lack of gadgets and even sometimes connectivity. The gadgets may be there, but connectivity is not there.
Right.
So it reaches there, they are not able to make the necessary entries.
Yes.
And the car moves away.
Yes.
And these ones are precedent to what the exit point can do. So if they don't do it, when they get there, they either have to close it manually or make them wait.
Okay.
And they will start calling until such entries are made. All this slow down transit trade and give room for abuses.
All right. So what it means is that this new e-tracking system is taking this into consideration.
So all these things were noted. And then, it's supposed to take it into consideration. The new one we are bringing should be able to monitor it in 24 hours. It should be able to have devices the lifespan of which, in fact, what we saw in
I know that was one of the challenges.
Yes,
the power of the batteries in the air.
Sometimes they put it on and then it goes off because of delays on the way.
Yeah.
But there are some which has power which can last for 2 months.
Wow.
And that is what other jurisdictions are using.
Okay.
And they have devices that you can point to the device when you come to the intervening stations or any other checkpoint, and it will give you details of the declaration up to the goods which are inside it.
Yes.
And if there's any tampering, like I said, it will give alerts.
To trigger the alarms.
Yes.
Right. Now, I know this particular new system that you are developing is supposed to be implemented in 3 phases.
Yeah.
Walk us through these 3 phases.
Yeah, the first phase was what we're talking about, the development of the concept of operations, which have been done. In fact, we have reviewed it and we are satisfied with it.
Right.
So the next stage is going to be where a contract will be awarded and they will provide a prototype solution. And that one, they will come and then we'll go through it again.
Yes.
That stage, they will be able to tell us how effective it will be, what they will be doing, and maybe even the cost element of it, and all other things.
Yeah.
So before the third stage, which will now be the actual deployment and operations of the system. So those are the 3 stages that we
I know there are cost components. The first phase has its own cost, the second phase, and then the third phase. And this runs into millions of dollars. Do you have the figures? From start to finish, implementing the 3,
yes,
how much is it going to cost?
It is rather too early to give the distance. Because, for instance, the American government, through the American Customs and Border Protection, is sponsoring the whole process. The contract for even the concept of operations was given by the Americans.
Yes.
And that one, it runs up to the end of this month. The other ones will be, now that we have taken a decision that the work they have done is good and want to go ahead with it, it will have to go through the procurement process. But when they do the prototype, they will tell us an estimated cost. But of course, that will be an estimated cost.
Yeah.
And then it will have to go through procurement processes and then So we cannot give the actual cost right now as we sit down.
Okay.
But because we have seen other jurisdictions that who have done it, we have certain things in mind, but we cannot say that it will be exactly that.
Right. Yeah. I know you had a stakeholder engagement recently. That was Thursday and Friday, or so, if I'm right. And you sat down to look at some of the issues, and I'm sure that was where the review even took place and all that.
Yes.
Now, what were some of the issues that you identified during this two-day deliberation?
Yes, one of the major issues we have realized, especially even when we started this integrated border management thing, was the silo nature of the agencies who are involved in trade and security.
Right.
We all work on our own. We don't interact so much with each other. And meanwhile, our work shows that to be successful, we must rely on each other. I was just listening to your earlier, this thing where you said where you have developed this in at Paga.
Yeah, the truck park.
The truck park. Sure. It is supposed to benefit trade.
Yes.
And all the agencies who have something to do with goods, will have a role in it.
Absolutely.
But generally, if you look at our laws, that's why when we started this project, the first thing we did was to sign a memorandum of understanding among the major security agencies to make sure that we can share ideas, we can discuss things, and we can share our operational issues.
Yes.
So this was one of the things that we discussed. You remember we called everybody from port authorities to all the security agencies, and the national security is leading the whole process. So we not only discuss the operational challenges, we also discuss some of the operations within the agencies,
right.
our overlaps, and how we can deal with them to ensure that we have a secure movement of goods that will benefit not only the owners of the goods and the state, but also ensure that the security of the goods, because most of the goods that are leaving, when goods are leaving on transit, we don't do thorough check, like if they were coming here. Sure. So apart from revenue that they are not paying to Ghana, if they are diverted, they could pose a security risk to the country.
Yeah.
So all this involve agencies with diverse mandates, and the mandates overlaps. So all of us, we were there to look at it, and look at it from the perspective from our various agencies.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Right. So I sat through day 2 of the, engagements you had at Coconut Grove, and I realized that at some point some of your colleagues were not happy with some of the findings captured in the concept, review document.
Yes.
And they thought that some of the things they stated were forthright, like were just too straight to the point, and that was quite perhaps maybe a dent on, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. What do you make of that?
Well, yes, I remember there was some few instances like that. Sometimes as operatives, when government policies come and you are the ones operating it, you are the hands of government. And I always tell people that if you realize the truth and you don't tell the authorities what is the truth, and you camouflage it, the true solution will never be found. Yes, so we had some challenge, but we were able to explain to people that yes, it is not. We are not trying to undermine, the government or undermine the operations of a particular institution. We are just trying to identify the lapses and find solutions to them. If we don't go and tell the government the truth, they may think that this one is working.
Yeah.
And yet there are challenges. And these challenges have economic and security implications, not only to Ghana, but to the whole sub-region.
Right.
And that was what, brought the difficulty. Some people felt that, well, the companies that we brought together were not Ghanaians. So if we are opening telling this thing that we are literally telling outsiders that this is our problem. Yeah. But you remember somewhere online, even the special advisor from the American Customs, he told the company that when they bring the document, it is not theirs, and they are supposed to sign a decision that document cannot be circulated outside, because we have asked them to do it, and they have done it. When they bring it, we'll put it in a form that it will not go beyond it. It will be a confidential document.
Yeah.
So, these were some of the concerns the gentleman, my colleague was raising.
Yes.
These were some of the concerns he was addressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So this is Metro TV. You are watching Iron Port, and with me in the studios is Deputy Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority in charge of ethics and good governance, Alhaji Seydou Idrisu Idisa, and we're discussing effective trade. That's the e-tracking system for effective transit trade in our country. Some questions have come in, but let me also remind you that you can also send us your questions via our WhatsApp line, which is 0559 019 177. 0559 019 177. We'll be glad to share them with the rest of the world. Now, this one says, good evening to you all. This is Isaac Silfi watching you live from Tema Committee 3. God bless you and your team for such a wonderful program. I would like to know how effective the e-tracking system will assist in ensuring the following. 1, reduced smuggling in transit process. 2, reduced waiting time for vehicles in customs yards and from an average 8 hours to few minutes. 3, elimination of traffic congestion at the customs yards. 4, reduction in the transit time by 60%. And 5, reduced physical inspections of goods at places of entry and exit. That's a loaded question.
A very loaded question, yes. Well, I think some of the, maybe after sending this question, when we will listen to the proceeding, he may have some of them already answered.
Absolutely, yes.
Because the movement of goods from the port of entry to the port of exit is controlled because the goods are meant for a third-party country. And because of that, our customs controls here are limited. Our role as a transit country is to make sure that the goods go, safely and conveniently out. It is simply because of this thing that we do not allow all checkpoints to even stop them.
Right.
That's why we have only this thing. But because of the challenges that we mentioned in our current system, sometimes, I mentioned one of them, systems are down and they are not able to monitor it. So when it gets to the other end, they are calling to find out that things, entry which would have been made before it arrived there is not done. And because the monitoring is not real time and not 24 hours, people, the bad guys take advantage and divert them. Then, because we don't also cooperate with our neighboring countries, sometimes they even cross the border. And within the no man's land, they offload it and re-smuggle it back into our country. So you will realize that monitoring is one thing. Coordination with both internal and external stakeholders is also another thing. And that is what the new system is looking at. That's why I told you that when we're even talking of it, we are not talking of it just for Ghana alone. Even though we are developing for Ghana alone, we have intention of, that in future we will be able to exchange, and make sure that even a device that is put, and I told you the device time will be about 2 months. 2 months. So we can monitor it from here to Timbuktu, and then have a way of bringing back the devices through our partners to the point of loading.
Now he wants to know how this new system is going to ensure that waiting time is reduced to the barest minimum.
Yes, it will, because if the monitoring is being done, let's say at the headquarters in Accra, and all the intervening stations are there, and they have all the gadgets that they can use to determine that the goods have not tampered with when it gets to their distance. Nobody will waste time to say he wants to do fiscal checks. And if policies are changed, like I talked about, containerized cargo for more than 90% of the distance. The slave, what we normally call the slave gadget, the main gadget, is at the main lock. And the people on the way all have gadgets, and to use to know that this one has not been tampered. Even if it's tampered, it gives alarm. The cargo will be moving smoothly, and even the routes. Sometimes, I was telling you that in transit trade, it's not every truck that you use for transit trade. Normally, you register them, and if you are going to register them, they must be vehicles in good condition. This will reduce the complaints of breaking down on the way and all those kind of things. And in addition to the containerized that I was telling you. So you see that all these things will
Unfortunately, in our part, I think that we are only used to using rickety trucks for transit
one of
trade.
Meanwhile, the World Customs Organization have come out with clear listen to facilitate trade. You need to make sure that any car that is going to be used to cut transit routes must be registered. It must be roadworthy. it must be containerized this thing. The drivers must even be, I mean, they must be checked to know who they are. So all this ensure the rapid and hampered flow of goods from the point of entry to the exit point. And it will be a benefit to all those who want to comply, even though it will be a disincentive to those who don't want to comply.
Yes. Right. Now, somebody has sent in a message. He wants to find out whether there's going to be any collaboration between you, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, and then the National Road Safety Authority to ensure that, to carry through with this project that you are undertaking.
Definitely. That's why I said it was, we are dealing with all stakeholders. I've just mentioned that the vehicle must be roadworthy. That is the work of the DVLA. So we must work closely with them. Sure. We must make sure that even the construction of the vehicle, when they are talking about a containerized vehicle, it should take the height of Ghana Roads and Highways Authority into consideration, so that they don't leave the place and go and then it can pass under a bridge, or it will damage the roads. Yeah. So all stakeholders will be involved in it, and that is why I said, it is the national security is it is leading the thing, and they are bringing all stakeholders on it, so that it will be smooth and without any hindrance. All
right. So one of my questions was going to be the kind of stakeholders you have. The key ones. Yes. I like you, as you just mentioned. It means DVLA is part. The National Road Safety Authority is part. Ghana Highways Authority is
part.
Okay.
And then in fact, it is under the Integrated Border Management subsection of the Security Governance Initiative.
Okay.
And integrated border management, we always have internal stakeholders and external stakeholders, because a border is not is not owned by one country.
Right.
A border is, a boundary between two countries. So when you are taking measures, you must always consult even your external, not only the internal stakeholder, but even you must consult your external stakeholders, so that you know that if we are saying no car who is not containerized will come to Ghana and pick this thing, we must do consultation with our neighbors who are taking their goods from the port, and make sure that they agree and we all move in tandem.
Right. Yeah. So in all of this, we would want to find out from you what the overall objective is for rolling out this particular new e-tracking system. How do we want to benefit from it as a nation? How would it benefit us as a country?
Yeah, thank you so much. There are several benefits. The moment you make this flawless, you bring a system that will ensure that there's a flawless flow of goods from the port of entry to the port of exit, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Both the transporters, the owners of the goods, government, all the government agencies will benefit.
Right.
Because it will decongest the port. It will lead to it will facilitate trade. And you remember Ghana is now headquarters in the African Free. It will be we'll provide the leadership not just as a secretariat, hosting the secretariat, but also in making sure that we implement it.
Right.
So everybody from the owners of the goods, the transporters, the port authorities, the revenue authorities, the security concerns will all be addressed, and at the same time, we'll be addressing those who want to abuse the system.
Right.
While we are facilitating those who want to comply, we'll be putting impediments on the way of those who want to abuse.
Right.
So it's a total benefit to the country.
Yes. All right. So let me at this juncture announce that you can join the conversation by giving us a call. We're activating our phone lines, and the number to call is 020-552-8353. 020-552-8353. We'll be glad to pick your calls, and my guest would be glad to answer your questions. So I want to find out whether you came up with some recommendations when you met, last 2 days, and what are some of these recommendations that you are making?
Yes. Like I said, it was an overview. We did an overview of the existing system, the cons and the pros of it. Yeah. So we have come out with a number of recommendations. In fact, some of the challenges of this current system is what the recommendations we are making are to address those challenges and then bring it up to speed with best practices over the world. That's why I started mentioning some of the things that are lacking.
Yes.
And some of them are not necessarily about the what they call the monitoring devices. It is also about policy on the route. You remember, you know that transit, we give them a specific route.
Yeah.
You can't just say that, I'm going to Pagas, and then you can decide to pass through
Because you know there's a different route leading to...
No, we give you a specific route.
All right.
And normally for monitoring to be effective, there are gadgets and installations done at various intervals on the routes, which can aid in sending signals.
Hold your fire, Mr. Deputy Commissioner. Let's go on to the phone lines because we have Emmanuel from Ashalibotre, if I get it right, on the line. Good evening, Emmanuel.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Evening, sir. Yes. Tell us, what do you have for us?
I wanted to find out about transit of ship space.
Transit of what?
I'm an agent at the port.
Okay.
Recently, I was transacting ship space to Takrady Harbour, and I was informed that the ship needs to get to Ghana before I'll be allowed to start the processing. So I wanted to find out, is that the right proceedings? Because if we have to wait for the ship to arrive before we start all the necessary customs processes, then I think it's going to delay the system. Sometimes the ship comes in to just take the items and then go away. And then we need to go through some proceedings before we get the cargo out. We know there is a new tracking system that we use to transit the cargo to the port. So why won't they allow us and they use their tracking system to monitor the things to the port?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much indeed, Emmanuel from Ashalibotre. I think you get the import of his question.
Yes.
And I think that it's backward if a customs officer would have to tell him to wait until the vessel arrives before he begins the process to clear his cargo.
Yes, I'm actually...
This is what you have been encouraging all this while. So I'm surprised that he says somebody is taking this tangent.
Yes, I believe maybe he was wrongly advised because it has been our policy. I mean, it's part of the trade facilitation policies. That's why we have even we started this pre-arrival, where you will start your making your declaration on goods which have not yet arrived. Absolutely. You start making preparing your documents, getting your valuation and everything, so that when it arrives, it is one of the ways of decongesting the port to facilitate trade and the free movement of goods. So to tell somebody who is expecting to send this thing that he should wait until the ship arrives, if the ship arrives and he's going to start it, the process will delay. And so I believe that maybe he didn't contact the right...
Maybe he didn't contact a genuine customs officer.
Yes. Sometimes in an organization like customs, there are departments that deals with most of these things. So sometimes when you go to somebody, instead of directing you and telling you that it's just like going to a mechanic who doesn't deal with gearbox.
Absolutely.
He's an engine mechanic, but he doesn't specialize in gearbox. And instead of directing you to a gearbox specialist,
he wants to try.
Or he can tell you that this will obtain.
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
Sure.
So I believe that most often when he has that thing, he should contact the custom technical, the officer in charge, that is the assistant commissioner in charge, or the deputy commissioner in charge of operations. He will guide him what to do.
All right.
But he shouldn't just go and contact any person.
All right. So we have Al Hassan on the line. Good evening, Al Hassan.
Yes, good evening.
Thank you very much for calling us. What do you have for us?
Yes, in fact, the man program is very educative.
Thank you.
Yes, the question I want to ask is, transit yards, when they load the trucks inside main harbor and come to where they park the Burkina cars,
yes,
the overheight, I don't know which people are supposed to check the overheight. Is it the customs or the GPHA workers? And second, the e-tracking system, when it finally materializes, then the items will not be functioning again. That's the question I have for
the items will not be what? You said when the e-tracking, yes.
The icons.
When the e-tracking, when the e-tracking system is materialized, when it started working, so the icons will not be functioning again.
Icons will be fully functional, but that's not for me to say.
Yes, but it is. You are right.
Yes.
Icons will. What the new system, like I said, is going to be owned by customs, so it will be integrated with the existing systems.
Right.
It's not going to operate in silo.
Right.
It's not going. It's just going to be a supportive tool. And he's also talking of the way.
The weight overloading, in the transit.
Yes, sure. It is a structure that is controlled by GAPOHA. But like I said, we work as stakeholders.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they do. It's not custom who do the what do you call it?
The loading.
The loading. It is controlled by the distance, and the axle weight is even controlled by GAPOHA.
Yes.
And then when you come on the main route, on the transit route, we still have axle loads which are under Ghana. What do you call it?
Yes.
The roads and highways.
Yes.
All are part of our this. That's why I was telling you that even when we are doing the container, we'll be involving them because they have to tell us what the container height should be.
Yeah, okay.
And, so we can, and we have capacity to build containers in Ghana here.
Yes.
We are not talking of the container coming out from the ship being put on the distance, but the vehicles should be containerized so that we can a container that is suited to take goods from a 20-footer container. They can put it inside it.
Yeah.
And if you also feel that the container is yours and you can just put it on a car and then we'll apply the gadgets to it. Yeah. That's also good. But it must be containerized for, almost all the goods.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. So what I also know is that with regards to loading, GPHA has two-way bridges, or even more at some of the gates in the port, and no official of GPHA would allow a trucker to overload his truck.
Yeah.
That is something that I am very certain of. And so sometimes maybe they leave the way bridge and then they go somewhere, and because they want to perhaps make more profits, they go and then add some of the load and all that. And that's why we have some of these issues. And like the Deputy Commissioner said, even along the routes, we have these way bridges there. And so officials of Ghana Highway Authority are those that are manning these way bridges along the routes. And so they are supposed to ensure that these trucks do not overload. And when you come to some of our toll booths, you even realize that there's a height limit that you don't have to exceed. Because if you exceed it, you can't pass through. It means that you have to shut off some of your load before you're able to go through. So, I think that it will do us a great deal of good if we all adhere to the standards of practice. And that would be okay for our roads and for the vehicles themselves even. Yeah.
Like you said, most of them come out. Most of the transit distance, when they leave the transit yard, sometimes they come and park at the filling stations and this.
Yeah.
Most often, they take other goods and add. Yeah. And because of the nature of our trucks, because they are open trucks, it is easy to do that.
Yeah, sure. If it was containerized, like you said, you find it difficult to do that. Abu, good evening. Mr. Abu from Kasua, good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Thank you very much for calling us, sir. What do you have for us?
You are welcome. First of all, thank you for this program. We really appreciate the education.
Thank you very much.
If you have a system, let's say a system that I can check my duty before importing in a car. And then secondly, I'm confused about something. If I want to buy a car outside, let's say over 10 years car, in Ghana it's over 8. But the same part of that car from outside will come in the system and we'll use it. What is the difference?
The last question.
Hello, Mr. Abu.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Kindly come again with your last question. We didn't get that bit.
Yeah, the last question is, let's say I'm buying an over 8 car from US or UK, wherever, somewhere in outside.
Yeah.
And then the car is over 8. I may not be allowed to bring it, or maybe I have to pay more duty.
Yeah.
But then the same car, if I dismantle that car from there, put the engine, put the shocks, the parts of that car, that can come in and then we will use it. It will not be termed as over 8. So I don't really understand.
I get what you
said. Be able to bring that car rather than dismantle it there and bring it.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Abu. From
he has two questions. He's saying that if you want to bring in a car, is it possible to check the duties?
The duty, yes.
Yes, it is possible.
Duty calculator,
Yes, it is possible, especially if you have the particulars of the car.
Right.
A car's duty is calculated mainly on based on 3 factors: the type of car, the chassis number, which gives us a lot of information about the car, and then the engine capacity.
Right.
So if you have these 3, you can always check it.
Whether the year of manufacture and the model?
Because the year of manufacture and model will be gotten from the chassis number.
Okay.
And then the engine capacity will be there.
Yeah.
And then the type of car.
Okay.
The 3 things determine, if we are able to get those 3 things, we'll be able to tell you
what the duty is.
What the duty if you bring it into the country.
Right.
So it is possible. And the second question he was asking is about that instead of bringing a car and paying maybe an overage car and paying the penalties on the overage.
You bring in the parts, the engine, and the parts, and then come and assemble it.
Yes.
And that will not be treated as overage.
No, if you are bringing the parts, you can bring in parts, but it's not every part of the car which will be regarded as parts, which will be allowed inside the country.
Okay.
In actual fact, when we talk of chassis, the car chassis, it is the metal frame that the car is built on. You know, it is always a steel.
Yes.
I mean, that's still metal.
Yes.
That is where the chassis. That is the chassis.
Yes.
And that is where the original chassis number is.
Yes. Yeah.
But it is for the sake of convenience that they put it at various parts of the car, so that
once we open, sometimes
you can see it, or sometimes at the dashboard you can see it.
Sure.
So the chassis is the car. You can bring in any other parts. If you have an old car, you can buy parts, engine and rehabilitate it, as long as you have not tampered with the chassis number on the main chassis. It is not a different car. But if you dismantle it and you are bringing, even the law prohibits you from bringing the chassis itself.
Okay.
I mean the main chassis itself inside.
Right.
So you can bring parts, but you cannot bring this thing. If you bring that one, you are bringing a car.
All right.
It's only, so when it is only the what do you call it? The car manufacturing, assembling plants, which can bring in such things with the chassis.
All right. So we have barely 2 minutes to wrap up, and so we just find out from you whether there are any timelines with respect to the commencement or the first phase of this e-tracking project.
Yeah, there are timelines. Like I said, the first one, that is the concept of operation, have just finished. So we have reviewed it, and all the agencies who were present. I think you were there the last day.
Yes.
When even they asked. For our approval.
Absolutely.
Because we had the first day we went through it and questions were asked and not. We started. The second day and it has been approved.
Right.
So it is now going to the next stage where they will come out with, the prototype.
Right.
That will address the distance. We will then meet again and look at the prototype.
Right.
Look at it. It can be a computer distance that we'll look at and see how it will answer most of the challenges that we are talking about.
Okay. All right.
Then we move forward. So
fantastic.
Those are the stages that we believe by the end of the year we have gone a little far.
Okay. Very well. So this is where we say a big thank you to our guest in the studios, Deputy Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Alhaji Seidu Idrisu Idisa. He is in charge of ethics and good governance at Customs. We are grateful to you. Remember, we've been discussing e-tracking and effective transit trade in our country. Do make a date with us again next week for another wonderful edition of Iron Pod. Remember, the abridged version of this show will be aired on Ghana Television, GTV, on Wednesday evening at 8:30. Thank you very much for joining us and have a wonderful evening.